She pulled a man out of the snow. Unaware he was the billionaire behind the country's most powerful pharmaceutical company. "Hey, can you hear me?" The man in the snow didn't answer right away. Emma Rowan dropped to her knees beside him, her flannel pajama pants soaked through, sticking to her skin. He was lying face down in the snowbank, blood frozen at his temple, his coat ripped open, his sweater crusted with ice. His gloves were missing. His boots were torn. Frost clung to his lashes. A wool hat lay beside him, half buried, stiff with. "Cold, sir?" Her voice shook. "Can you hear me?" His fingers twitched. Then, slowly, painfully, he turned his head. Snow melted down the line of his jaw, steam rising faintly from his breath. He blinked, pupils unfocused but alive. His lips barely moved. "No cops," he rasped. Emma froze. "What? No hospital?" "Just." One night she looked around. Nothing but snow. Pines. Silence so heavy it hummed. And then the faint crunch of tires on ice. Headlights swaying between trees. "Who's following you?" She whispered. The man winced. "You don't want to know." Emma stood. Her heart was hammering. She grabbed his arm. "You have to move." "Can't." "You will." She dragged him up, half lifting him across her shoulder. They staggered together across the icy ground to the back of the cabin. She kicked aside a frozen wooden hatch, revealing a narrow space dug deep years ago, old storm storage. "Get in." He stared at her, dazed. "Do you want to freeze to death in the open or live?" He slid inside just as twin beams of light crawled around the bend. She slammed the door shut, pulled the sled over it, kicked snow across the seams. Then she stepped out front, breath sharp in the cold. Just as a dark SUV rolled up to her porch, 3 men got out. Long coats, heavy boots, faces to calm. "Evening, ma'am," said the tallest, tipping his chin. "Sorry to trouble you. We're looking for someone. Might have come limping through here. Real beat up. You seen anyone?" Emma crossed her arms. "It's a snowstorm. No one's come by here. You sure?" Another man stepped closer, eyes sweeping the cabin. "I live alone," she said, louder. "And I don't like people walking my land without being invited." The first man smiled, all teeth. "Of course. Just trying to help. I'll call the ranger station if you don't leave." That did it. They exchanged a glance, then turned, got back in the SUV. Taillights faded into the white. Emma waited until they were gone, then ran. She ripped the sled away, opened the hatch. "They're gone," she breathed. "Come on. We have to get you warm." The man groaned as she pulled him out. He could barely walk. By the time she got him inside, he was shaking, teeth chattering. She laid him by the fireplace, ran to get water, towels, bandages, old supplies she hadn't touched in years. Her hands were trembling. Her voice, barely a whisper. "I'm not a nurse anymore," she said. "So don't you dare die on me." He didn't make a sound when she dabbed the blood away, just clenched his jaw, eyes half lidded, too far gone to care. Emma poured warm water into a cracked ceramic bowl, soaked a cloth, wiped the dirt from his face. The gash at his hairline had stopped bleeding, but the skin beneath was raw. His breath came shallow, shaky. "All right," she muttered. "Okay." She wrapped a towel around his shoulders, shoved a blanket over his chest, grabbed the old kettle from the stovetop. Tea. Soup. Anything hot behind her. He stirred. A groan, then a whisper. "Cold, I know," she said. "You're lucky I found you before frostbite did." She brought over the tea, helped him sit up against the couch. His head lolled slightly, eyes glassy. Still dazed, but conscious, he flinched as steam rose from the mug. "Can you drink?" He nodded once. She held the cup to his lips. He took one slow sip, then another. Outside, the wind was dying down. But in here, it was too quiet, too tense. She sat back, watching him, waiting. Then finally, "What's your name?" she asked. He didn't answer right away. "Just a first name is fine. Michael." "Michael what?" He didn't speak. Emma sighed. "You're bleeding." "On my floor." "The least you can do is give me a last name." Still nothing. She stood, pacing. Her socks stuck slightly to the wooden planks, wet from melted snow. "Okay, Michael," she said. "You show up half dead. Beg me not to call anyone. Won't tell me who you are, and there are men in a black SUV cruising through a blizzard looking for you." He winced, shifted on the couch. "I said, one night you said no hospital." He opened his eyes. They were sharper now. "Still tired, but watching her. You really live out here alone?" "Yeah, no family." She narrowed her eyes. "You planning to rob me once you can stand again?" He almost smiled. Almost, just making conversation. He whispered. Emma didn't laugh. She crouched beside him, pulled the blanket tighter around his shoulders. "I don't know what you did. And I don't want trouble. You already have it." She stood again. "Well then, guess I should have left you in the snow." His voice was hoarse, low. "You didn't." Emma looked away. Her breath was fogging the window glass now. Outside, the trees swayed under the weight of snow, silent and heavy. He spoke again, softer this time. "You saved my life. I didn't do it for thanks." A pause. "Then you talk in your sleep." His jaw tensed. "You kept saying Jeremy, over and over." Michael blinked slowly, then looked away. "Is he the reason you're running?" Silence. Emma didn't press. She walked to the fireplace, poked the flames, watched a log split and collapse. The kettle whistled. She poured another cup. Hands steady this time. When she turned, he was already asleep again, breathing shallow. "But steady," she sighed, pulled the blanket higher, sat beside the couch, resting her head against the frame. Outside, the storm was gone, but something else was coming, and she didn't know what side she'd just chosen. The storm had passed by morning, leaving the world soaked and silent. Mist hung low over the hills, wrapping the trees in a ghostly veil. Inside the cabin, Emma moved slowly, no longer acting on adrenaline. Now came the second guessing. What if she just harbored a fugitive? What if those men came back? What if he died on her couch? She carried a tray into the living room, hot tea, dry toast. He was still unconscious, turned slightly toward the cushions. Chest rising and falling, shallow but steady. "At least that's something," she murmured. She set the tray on the table and pulled the blanket higher over him. "Hey," she said, softly, crouching beside him. "Are you awake?" No response. She reached for his forehead. "Warm. Too warm. You have a fever." She returned with a thermometer and some painkillers. When she came back, he was stirring, his brow furrowed, lips parted. "Jeremy," he mumbled. Emma froze. Same name he'd whispered in the night. She slid the thermometer between his lips before he could speak again. He squinted at her. "You have a fever," she said. Calm, controlled. "You're not going anywhere." He didn't argue. The reading blinked. 1018. You need antibiotics. "A hospital?" "No," he rasped. "They'll find me. I think they already did." "You're lucky I lied for you." He shifted, winced, met her eyes. Why did you? Emma didn't answer right away. She looked at his face, bruised, battered, still holding something steady underneath. I don't know, she said finally. Maybe I saw something in your eyes. Fear, desperation. Or maybe it was the way you looked at me. Like I was your last chance. He smiled faintly. You were. She stood quickly. Well, if I'm your nurse now, let's hope I don't kill you by accident. I've had worse. She shook her head, trying not to smile. She handed him the tea, helped him sit up slightly, placed the cup in his hands. What's your name? She asked. He hesitated. Michael. Last name? A pause. Just Michael. Emma raised an eyebrow. Fine. Just Michael. At least tell me what happened to you. He took a sip, then sighed. Some men don't like loose ends. That's vague and terrifying. I wish it were more poetic. Emma crossed her arms. You said something about the truth, about telling it at the wrong time. What does that mean? Michael didn't speak. His eyes drifted to the fire. I tried to expose something. They shut me up. Now they want to finish the job. She leaned forward. Look, Michael, I don't know who you are, but if I'm risking my neck for you, I need more than cryptic sentences. What did you expose? His jaw tightened. A cover-up. In a place where people are supposed to be safe. A hospital? He looked up, startled. You said something in your sleep. Jeremy. And they knew the dosage was wrong. That's our hospital. Hawthorne General. Well, it used to be. It's private now. Michael said nothing. That's it, isn't it? Emma said. You're connected to that place. He set the cup down slowly. Do you really want to know? I think I need to. Michael leaned back, grimacing. Not today, Emma wanted to push further. But something in his tone told her to stop. She sighed, rubbed her temples. All right, she said. But if men with guns show up again, I expect answers. I won't let them hurt you. She studied him. You say that like it's a promise you've made before. I have. The fire crackled softly. Outside, birds had started singing. Again, Emma stood and pulled the curtains closed. Turned back to Michael, who looked smaller in the glow of morning, not weak. Just human. I'll make you some soup, she said. Only thing I can cook that won't kill you. He gave a half smile. That's a good start. As she walked to the kitchen, her hands still trembled, but her heart, for some reason, had steadied. 2 days passed. Michael was healing. Slowly, the swelling in his jaw had gone down. The bruises faded from deep purple to dull yellow. Emma had helped him move to the spare room, though he insisted on limping around the porch, breathing the pine-heavy air. He said the movement helped clear his head. She let him, though she kept one eye on the horizon every evening. She still had no answers. He remained polite, evasive, guarded. He ate what she made, thanked her without fail, even offered to chop firewood once he could lift the axe. He was, in many ways, the perfect guest. But he was also a man shaped by shadows. One morning, Emma found him outside, tending the fence line, using spare wire and a pair of rusted pliers. You don't need to work. She called from the porch. Michael looked over his shoulder, eyes squinting against the sun. Not much else to offer but muscle, he said. You could offer your real name. He smiled, but didn't answer. Emma sighed. She walked down the steps, leaned against the fence post beside him. You talk in your sleep, she said. I know. You keep saying Jeremy. And something about they knew the dosage was wrong. What was that? Michael's hands froze on the wire. He didn't move for a long moment. Then he spoke. Voice low. Jeremy was my brother. Emma blinked. He nodded. He died. In a hospital. Not because of an accident. Not because the illness was too strong. He died because someone cut corners. And lied about it later, she stared at. Him, Hawthorne General. Michael nodded once. Were you a patient there too? No, he met her eyes. I built it. Before she could respond, the morning silence shattered. The guttural roar of engines ripped through the valley. Emma and Michael both turned sharply. Beyond the fence line, 3 black trucks barreled toward them. Wheels spitting snow and dirt. Sunlight glinting off steel like a warning. Emma's breath caught. Michael dropped the pliers. His body stiffened. Jaw clenched. Inside. Now he snapped. Voice sharp. Alive. You're not going out there alone. Emma said, I'm not giving them another shot at you. I'm not the one they want. You will be. If they think you're with me, already, one of the men was pointing an arm out the window, finger aimed straight at them. Go, Michael barked again. Emma turned. Bolted. Not to the house, but to the barn. She hurled herself behind the heavy doors, chest heaving, heart pounding in her ears, peering through the crack. She saw him, Michael, in one clean motion, swung onto the back of the mare. No saddle. No bridle. Just raw instinct. He kicked his heels. The horse shrieked. Then surged forward. Michael clung tight. The reins whipped wildly. They exploded across the open field. The trucks tore through the outer fence. Splinters flew. Tires screamed against earth. A crack rang out. A warning shot. Emma gasped. Ducking. Her fingers gripped splintered wood. Michael hunched low over the mare's neck. Whispered something only the horse could hear. Together, they thundered down the slope. Hooves slamming ice. Water spraying as they crashed through the creek. The trucks fishtailed behind them, skidding over the mud. Engines snarling dot in the lead truck. A man leaned out, gun drawn. Sunlight flashing off chrome. Alex Blackrock. Michael's eyes cut sharply. To the woods ahead. No hesitation. He yanked the reins hard. The mare veered. Muscles straining, they plunged into the trees. Fog twisted between the pines, swallowing them whole. Within seconds, they vanished. The trucks skidded to a halt. Doors slammed. Boots hit the ground. They went in on foot. Guns drawn. Voices shouting. Emma stayed frozen, pressed to the wall, her breath ragged, her pulse shaking. 10 minutes. 20, then a raw cry. Somewhere deep in the forest, she didn't think. She ran, branches clawed at her face. Mud sucked at her boots. She didn't stop. She tore through the woods, up the slope and therein. A clearing shrouded in mist. Michael stood alone. Blood streaked his temple. Shirt torn. One of the men writhed in the dirt, clutching his ribs, the other two closed in. Guns raised, 3 against 1. Michael didn't flinch. With a roar, he launched himself at the nearest man, tackled him into the mud. Fists flying, grunts. Bone. Shouting, then click. Enough, Alex Blackrock. Gun drawn. Voice calm. Deadly. Michael froze. Chest heaving, Emma pressed herself against a tree trunk. A silent scream lodged in her throat, then sirens, high, sharp, cutting through the fog like knives. Alex swore. The men scrambled, dragging their injured friend. They ran, trucks roared back to life. Emma stumbled forward, her legs shaking. Through the mist, flashing blue lights cut across the trees. 2 patrol SUVs skidded into the clearing. Deputies spilled out, guns drawn. Michael dropped to his knees. Hands raised, the older deputy narrowed his eyes, then slowly lowered his weapon. "Son of a bitch," he muttered. "That's Michael Hawthorne." Emma's world tilted. Hawthorne. She'd heard it. In whispers. In old headlines. In stories told like half-myth. Michael Hawthorne. The man who built the hospital. Then vanished. Some said he was a fraud. Others a martyr. She had thought he was just a drifter. But this was a storm decades. In the making d'ATS, they helped him toward the SUV. Emma stepped aside. Heart pounding, Michael looked at her once, expression unreadable. Eyes full of things she couldn't name. "Ma'am," the deputy said, tipping his hat. "We'll need your statement." She nodded, "Of course." Michael was taken in. Not cuffed, but clearly not free. Emma followed in her truck, hands gripping the wheel. Knuckles white-dotted to the station. She sat in the waiting area, numb. Hours passed. Finally, the deputy returned. "Looks like that man you've been hiding isn't just anybody," he said. Emma blinked. "That's Dr. Michael Hawthorne. Harvard-trained. Founder of Hawthorne General. Ran it until things went bad. There was a death," he added. "His younger brother, Jeremy. Supposed overdose." The board blamed Michael. He disappeared. Some folks thought he took his own life. He paused. Turns out he just went underground. Emma barely heard the rest. Her thoughts swirled. Later, they led her to a small room. Michael was sitting on a cot, bruised, bandaged. He looked up as she entered. Silent, she closed the door behind her. "You lied to me. I didn't tell the truth," he said softly. "There's a difference. You told me your name was just Michael. It is. Hawthorne's a name I left behind." "Why?" she asked, arms crossed. "Because people die when they tell the truth." He looked down. "I tried to protect Jeremy. He found something in the company's pharmacy records. Falsified data. Dangerous mistakes. He brought it to me. I said I'd shield him." His voice dropped. "The next day, he was dead." Emma didn't speak. They called it an allergic reaction. But someone changed his file after he died. He wasn't even supposed to be on that medication. Who did it? She asked. Alex Blackrock. And 2 others on the board. Jeremy found proof they were cutting corners. Stealing money. Why not go to the police? I did. They said I was grieving. I tried to go public. The board turned the narrative against me. Within a week, I was ruined, so I disappeared. To gather proof quietly, he looked up until they found me again. Emma looked away, wiped at her eyes. "I would have helped you if you'd told me. I didn't want to drag you into this. You already did." Silence. "Then I didn't think I'd survive that night," he said. "I was ready to die, but then you opened the door." Emma swallowed. "You saved my life too, Michael. Even before I knew who you were." He looked at her. Exhaustion behind his eyes, but also truth. She took a breath. "I still don't know everything, but I know you're not the villain they made you out to be, and I know you loved your brother." His jaw tensed. He nodded. "I'll help you," Emma said. "We'll finish what Jeremy started." Emma had never been inside Hawthorne General. Not since it had changed hands. The place looked more like a business center now. Polished floors. Cold lighting. The old scent of antiseptic replaced by something sterile. Corporate, the brass plaque that once bore Michael's name was gone. In its place, a sleek logo etched in brushed metal. She stood in the lobby, clutching a worn manila folder under her arm. Inside were copies of the documents Michael had given her. Patient reports. Pharmacy logs. Jeremy's handwritten notes, pages. Michael had guarded for years like sacred relics. Emma approached the reception desk. "I'm here to see Dr. Ramsey," she said. The receptionist raised an eyebrow. "Do you have an appointment?" "No," Emma replied calmly. "But he'll want to see me." "It's about Michael Hawthorne." The name shifted the room. The receptionist blinked, picked up the phone, muttered something, then nodded toward the hall. "Third floor. Last door on the right, doctor." Ramsey was one of the few left who had known Michael before the scandal. A respected surgeon. Older. Cautious, one of the few who hadn't publicly taken sides. Emma hoped that meant he still had a conscience. She found him behind a desk, reading a file. Glasses perched on the edge of his nose. When she entered, he looked up slowly. "Can I help you?" "My name is Emma Rowan," she said. "I have information about what happened to Jeremy Hawthorne." "And Michael," he stilled. Studied her. "Go on." She placed the folder in front of him. "Michael is alive," she said. "He's been hiding since the incident. Now they've tried to kill him again. Alex Blackrock and his men, doctor." Ramsey opened the folder, flipped through the pages. His eyes scanned Jeremy's handwriting. The logs, the forged approvals. Emma watched his face shift. Indifference, disbelief, then quiet horror. "I always knew something was wrong," he murmured. Jeremy was careful. Brilliant. He double-checked everything, the allergy note in his chart. It was missing the day after he died. Emma sat down across from him. "Michael needs someone to verify this. Someone who still has credibility, doctor." Ramsey looked up. "And you?" "I'm not a nurse. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a woman who found a bleeding man on her porch and didn't let him die. I didn't know who he was. But now I do. And I believe him." He was silent for a moment, then nodded. "I kept copies of the old staff reports. The board forced us to destroy everything, but I had already saved them. I never knew why. Maybe this is why." Together, they sifted through files. Old rosters, medical logs, emails. Emma's heart pounded as the picture formed. Clear patterns. Tampering. False signatures. Prescriptions never administered. Every page confirmed Michael's story. That evening, she returned to the station. Michael sat on the cot, reading a tattered paperback. She walked in, dropped the updated folder on his lap. "Doctor Ramsey remembers," she said. "And he has proof." Michael blinked. Stunned. "He helped you? He believes you?" He exhaled, leaned forward, flipped through the papers. His hands trembled slightly. "This is it," he whispered. "This is what I needed 5 years ago." Emma sat beside him. "Then let's make sure it doesn't get buried again." They spent the next hours working together. Michael guided her through names, dates, connections. Emma typed everything into a clean timeline. Michael annotated documents, highlighted forged signatures, altered dosages, names. When they finished, he leaned back, exhausted. "I never thought I'd get this far." "Why not?" "Because the world moves on. People forget. Justice is slow, brutal. By the time it arrives, most have stopped looking." Emma looked at him. "Then it's a good thing someone was still looking." He turned toward her, said nothing at first, then quietly, "You shouldn't have had to do this." "No," she agreed. "But I would do it again." He reached for her hand, fingers brushing. "Thank you." Emma smiled. "You're not done yet, Hawthorne. We still have one more thing to do." "What's that?" "Make the whole damn town listen." That night, Michael drafted a letter. A statement of truth, written in his own hand, from the day Jeremy died to the day he was left bleeding on Emma's porch. Emma, with her steady typing and sharper instincts, turned it into something powerful. Personal. Factual. Devastating. Together. They prepared it for the world. The truth, at last, was ready to breathe. The town hall was quiet at dusk. Just the buzz of old lights. And the creak of wooden floors. Emma stood by the window, watching the shadows stretch across the square. Michael paced behind her, tense, silent. Everything had been set. They'd arranged a meeting under the pretense of a settlement. A discussion about reopening Hawthorne General's foundation. A lie, but believable enough to lure Alex Blackrock and the board back to the table. The sheriff, now convinced by the evidence and Dr. Ramsey's statement, had agreed. Audio surveillance. A hidden camera, the goal. Get them to talk. Get them to admit everything. Are you sure about this? Emma asked. Michael nodded. They need to think I'm desperate. That's when men like Alex feel invincible. That's when they slip. Emma swallowed. If anything goes wrong, I know, he said. Voice low. But I won't let them take someone else. Not again. Footsteps echoed in the hall. The sheriff entered first. Gave a nod. Then Alex Blackrock and two suited men followed. Sharp T eyes. Flat eyes. Doctor Hawthorne, Alex said, arms out like greeting an old friend. Or should I say the ghost of him? Michael didn't flinch. Let's skip the pleasantries. They all took seats around the long oak table. Emma sat beside Michael. Hands folded. Heart pounding. I want a deal, Michael began. Calm. Steady. Reinstate the Jeremy Hawthorne Fund. Reopen the investigation. Clear my name. In exchange, I walk away. I stay quiet. Alex leaned back. Smiled. That's not how leverage works. You disappeared, remember? The world thinks you offed yourself out of guilt. Michael's eyes narrowed. I came back to clean up the rot you left behind. Alex chuckled. What rot? Everything you claim is long buried. No one remembers Jeremy. Michael's voice didn't waver. You do. And that's enough. Emma watched the red light on the hidden recorder blink. Let's be honest, one board member said. Jeremy was a liability. Bright kid. Too curious. He got in the way. Michael's jaw tightened. Alex nodded. It was unfortunate. But necessary. You would have done the same. If you had the guts. The words hung in the air. Then the sheriff burst through the side door. That's enough. Alex stood instantly. Eyes blazing. What the hell is this? You're under arrest, the sheriff said. Conspiracy. Medical malpractice. Attempted murder. You and your whole damn operation. The two board members froze as deputies poured. In behind the sheriff, weapons drawn, but Alex was faster. He pulled a pistol from inside his coat, aimed it directly at Emma. Don't move. He shouted. Michael moved faster. He shoved Emma to the floor. Threw himself in front of her. The shot rang out. Loud. Deafening. Michael stumbled. Clutched his side. Dropped to one knee. Michael. Emma screamed. The sheriff fell back. His gun skittered across the floor. Deputies tackled Alex, wrestled him down. Michael collapsed. Blood spreading across his shirt. Emma crawled to him. Hands. Pressing the wound. Stay with me. Please. His eyes fluttered. Still. Hate getting shot, he murmured. Shut up. Save your strength, she whispered. The sheriff knelt beside them, radioing fast. They're on the way. Hold on, son. Michael's hand found hers. Weakly, did we get them? She nodded. Tears falling. We got them all. A faint smile. Good. Jeremy can rest now. Then his head fell back. Unconscious. Sirens screamed outside. Emma clung to him, whispering promises. He wouldn't die. He couldn't. Not after everything they'd fought for. Not now. The ICU room was cold. Too quiet. Machines beeped in steady rhythm beside Michael's bed. Each tone a reminder he was still alive. Just barely, tubes ran from his arms and nose. A monitor tracked his heart. Slow. Stubborn, Emma hadn't moved from her chair in 24 hours. Back straight. Hands folded tight. Eyes fixed on his face. His skin was pale. Lips cracked. They'd removed the bullet. But the damage had been deep. The doctor told her the next 48 hours were critical. She nodded. Silently. Then returned to her post. Vigilant. Unblinking, a nurse brought her coffee. Another offered a cot. Emma declined both. She wouldn't leave him. Not now. Not after everything they'd survived. Not after the look in his eyes when he asked if they'd gotten them. She had said yes, but she hadn't told him what else she had gotten, his full story. The public's attention. The truth now roaring like wildfire through the town and beyond. That morning, the sheriff held a press conference. Used the recordings Michael and Emma had gathered. Doctor. Ramsey had corroborated every word. Multiple. Former employees had come forward, sharing what they once feared to say. Alex Blackrock and the 2 board members were denied bail. Investigations were underway. State and federal. Michael's name was cleared in less than 12 hours, but Michael was still silent. Emma pulled a folded letter from her coat pocket. Old. Yellowed. Creased. She'd found it in Michael's bag. Buried beneath evidence. And folders addressed. To my brother, if I can't say goodbye. She unfolded it, hands trembling, and began to read aloud. Jeremy, I was supposed to protect you. That was always the deal. Big brother watches your back. But I let you walk into that storm alone. I believed the system would do the right thing. I was wrong. Her voice cracked. She paused. Swallowed hard. They tried to silence me after you were gone. Tried to make me forget you. But I never did. Every step I took since they buried you, I took for you. I became a ghost. Not because I wanted to disappear, but because I needed to haunt them until they broke. Emma looked at his still face. I found your letter, Michael. I read it. I think Jeremy heard you. I think maybe he forgave you. Long before you forgave yourself, she stood, walked to the bed, brushed a lock of hair from his forehead. You've done enough running. It's time to come back. A minute passed. Then another. Then his eyelids twitched. Emma's breath caught. Michael, she whispered. His eyes fluttered open. Unfocused. Then found her. He blinked. Did I die? She laughed. Tears rushing in. Almost. But I wouldn't let you. He tried to smile. Winced. Still terrible bedside manner. You're not exactly low maintenance, she said, voice shaking. His gaze softened. You stayed. I told you I would. A long silence. Then, is it over? He asked. Emma nodded. It's over. You're free. Michael looked away. I don't know what to do now. I spent so long fighting. I don't know how to live. Emma leaned forward. Took his hand. You start small. One day at a time. Maybe. With coffee. And a sunrise. And someone who refuses to give up on you. His fingers closed gently around hers. I don't deserve that, he murmured. Yes, you do. Not because of who you were, but because of who you became. His eyes glistened. I used to dream about justice, he said. But it never looked like this. It never looked like you, Emma smiled, thumb brushing his knuckles. Then maybe it's time to stop dreaming and start living. He nodded faintly, exhausted, but something new in his expression now, peace. She leaned in, pressed a kiss to his forehead. You came back, Michael. That's all that matters. And for the first time in years, Michael Hawthorne closed his eyes. Not to escape the world, but to finally rest in it, safely beside the one person who had refused to let him go. Thank you for watching. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. If this story moved you, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.